Okay, first presentation is regular updates. I am doing them approximately every 2 weeks. So, well, this is about me. This is Hugging Face Open Large Language Models leaderboard. And again, we have the change in the leaders. So these are the top several leaders. Mostly they're variations on Meta Llama, a large language model. And so you see it's 70 billion models. But Stable Beluga is also like here, Stable Beluga is from Stability AI. So what's interesting, the total number of entries 665. So in the last 30 days, about 200 entries were added, and Falcon, who used to be on the first position, now is on the 80th position. So it's a huge progress. I highly recommend to listen to this interview. Dwarkesh Patel interviews Dario Amadei, who is the CEO of Anthropic. Anthropic is the company, it's a spun-off, not a spun-off, like some of the researchers from OpenAI went 2 years ago and created their own company called Anthropic. And now they already have $1.5 billion and they're building models. And most known is um, Claude chatbot, Claude now version 2, which is excellent. And the whole interview is about 2 hours, but it's unbelievably good. And this is just a short piece of it where the question was, what is fundamentally the explanation for why scaling works? Why the universe organized such as if you throw a lot of data and compute and wide enough distribution of data, the thing become intelligent. And they discuss that so the intelligence, artificial intelligence, is basically property of matter. It just happens, and they don't have the explanation, but they see over and over again that system learns, it becomes more intelligent, and this growth is smooth with the number of parameters and amount of data. It smoothly grows, and so far it's not clear. Maybe there is no limit to this because people think, well, it's stupid, it cannot do certain things, but then they make it bigger and suddenly it can. Um, Fundamentally, what the system does, it learns like to predict from A, deduct B. And the new versions, they're so good, they're now resolving the logical questions. So we'll talk about it a little bit later. Um, About scaling, NVIDIA just announced their new platform, which they will release in the Q2 next year. And this has 256 NVIDIA Grace Hopper supercomputers interconnected so that they behave as one singular huge computer, offers 144 terabytes of shared memory. It's much faster performance and everything. It's unbelievable. Um, Google Gemini. Google Gemini is a combination of LLM technology and reinforcement learning technology. And Sergey Brin returned to the office. They're doing a lot of progress. Hopefully, we will see it by the end of the year. But one of the key features, because of reinforcement learning, what DeepMind is famous for, like designing AlphaGo and other game algorithms, it's advanced planning, decision making, problem solving, right? So we will see it as part of this big model. ChatGPT recent upgrades, which I actually enjoy. Uh, so there are prompt examples, suggested replies. ChatGPT now you don't have to switch every time; it's 4 by default. Increased number of messages it can handle. I mean limit, because before after certain number of messages you have to wait. Upload up to 10 files, sort, filter, summarize, remain logged in for 30 days, and keyboard shortcuts. So you can press command / or on Windows control / to see the shortcuts and use them. They're still using old model 2021, but they kind of become like Google. They created their own web crawler, which is called GPT bot, to collect data for future models. And hopefully in several months, we will see the model updating itself regularly. And website owners will have a choice to restrict or limit chat GPT bot access. Well, same how they can do with Google. Jeremy Howard, uh, he's well, he's a lot of things. He's co-owner of Kaggle and Fast AI and whatever. So his tweet, it's really brilliant. He recommends to prepend this to your question, and I actually did it. I put it in the custom instruction section, which you now have with the new updates. And what it does, it makes ChatGPT suddenly more intelligent and better at solving problems. So, well, this is what he put together. You can put something different, but it really works. IQ test and ARC test. Well, Francois Halle, which is Google now, which is, very famous for creating this simplified front end to TensorFlow. But now he is about estimating the intelligence. And there are different tests. And apparently, ChatGPT get 155 IQ on regular IQ test. But Francois created some other tests where people solve usually at 80%, but ChatGPT only at 30%. And typical tasks are given a set of shapes, identify the next shape in the sequence, given set of facts, determine whether the new fact is consistent, given description of problem, solve the problem using general principles, and so on. So on the surface, it's kind of similar to IQ test, but it's somehow different. And so it's interesting that ChatGPT is growing. I highly recommend this video. What does IQ actually measure? I mean, really recommend. Well, I love Veritasium channel. The guy is brilliant, and he actually took the test in the video, and he was preparing for it, and he explains the history of the test and so on. Gorilla, highly recommend to look into it. This is very interesting. So this work was out. What is called open sourced in the end of May. And this is joint effort of Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley, and Microsoft Research. And what it is, this is making a framework for specific task, convert speech or textual input into API calls. So the system is, yes, it's a large language model based, but it doesn't need to be as big as ChatGPT. It doesn't need to know ancient history or physics or programming. It can be specialized, and because of that, it can be much smaller. So they have several versions based on Llama, Falcon, and MPT, and they all are 7 billion parameter models, which is a very small model because usually models like ChatGPT is 175 billion parameters, and this is ChatGPT 3, the um, free version. The ChatGPT 4 is like 10 times bigger. So 7 billion is really small, and they achieve good results and good accuracy in converting uh, natural language input into the API call, and without hallucination, because if you're using a bigger model, you will have some strange, crazy results sometimes. So I think it's a big practical achievement, and it's open source. They provide endpoints. You can run it online. You can just immediately go to Colab and start working with it. But you can also download, install, and use it completely locally with your local data, your local system. So this is a very good piece of technology. Um, AI.com now points to X.ai. So I'm talking about Elon Musk. And also we have XCOM, which points to Twitter, right? Microsoft Composable Diffusion, Microsoft Jarvis, and Microsoft Cosmos 2. Three different systems from Microsoft. And I spoke about of them before, but I just wanted to make combined um, slide to see what they are and the differences. So Cody is a multimodal system, Jarvis is a conversational system, and Cosmos 2 again is a multimodal, but well, different from Cody. They have different functions. Microsoft project Rumi. So this is very interesting because this is a way to detect like when you're talking to the system, but it can also measure your heart rate or your perspiration or your eye tracking, your EEG or whatever, some non-verbal paralinguistic parameters, and they can use them to evaluate your emotions, how satisfied you are, what you really want, what's important, what's not important. You see this intonation, gestures, facial expression, and so on. So this is a very interesting project. Meta Audiocraft. Okay, Meta, Facebook, now has this application, and you can generate music from text. You can generate different sounds from text, or you can compress audio signal using AI. Again, very interesting. Another thing about Meta, uncensored llama is available. Well, Llama, as you know, is open source. That means that people can hack it, and people did that, and they removed all censorship out of it. And it's interesting. You can find it. You can see how it works. Meta is adding chatbots to its platform, meaning on Facebook now you will can talk to Meta chatbots. I think they should be powered by Llama, of course. And also they're adding tools to detect AI generated posts. Okay, so now they will start to clean because there will be a lot of AI generated content and they want to reduce it. This is interesting. So these photographs are actually from AI generated, uh, I don't know, performers. And they create videos on YouTube, on other social media, and they collect a lot of followers, they collect a lot of traffics, and the authors behind those pretty faces, they make big business deals, so it becomes very, very real. Another thing about Stack Overflow, Stack Overflow usage went down because people, instead of going to Stack Overflow, now go to ChatGPT or something. So Stack Overflow decided to add AI question answering to their system to help the situation. Okay, this these people are amazing, right? So these are siblings Daniela and Dario Amadei. Uh, I recommend you to go on YouTube and listen to interviews with them. The people are amazing. The company is amazing. So first of all, what Anthropic is, it's a company which was created 2 years ago, and they were senior members, senior whatever researchers at OpenAI. They left. They left because they didn't like how OpenAI was getting more and more close with Microsoft and how Microsoft was like pushing their agenda on OpenAI. So they left and they created their own company. So by now, they already raised $1.5 billion in funding from different investors. One of the investors is Google. Google invested $300 million for 10% of the company. And so Anthropic is running on Google as opposed to OpenAI, which is running on Microsoft. And yeah, so I highly recommend. Yeah, they're everywhere. They're very famous. They really, I recommend you to learn about them, to follow them, to know about them. Okay, this is interesting slide, and this is what Boris asked me, like how investors would invest in AI company if somebody else can reproduce this company in a very short period of time, in several weeks. When in this article, the guy reproduces AI startup in 3 minutes. And he then goes into discussion how you can still build how you can make your AI startup different from others. And so AI startups earn less and are harder to build. Cloud computing is getting cheap for everyone. Open source projects are open to everyone. So what do you have unique? How you can stand out? And this is kind of the distribution. And you see that there is a long tail, and this long tail actually 70% of all search traffic. So what you can do, you can use common models and common cloud infrastructure, whatever, to solve some niche specific problems in the long tail. And then when you're doing this, you actually have many problems. First of all, you don't have enough data because it's a niche. It may be small data. You need to actually work with the data to collect it, to clean it, to whatever. Everything is custom. Infrastructure involves ad hoc human work, so data labeling, edge cases handling. So this is like building startup on edge cases on the long tail. This is answer to the problem. Another interesting slide. How people use ChatGPT. I actually didn't find good examples of that. I found one graph, and according to this, some people use it to create content, sending emails, doing coding, resume writing, cover letters, and other stuff. But half is to generate ideas. I'm not sure what it means. I don't really understand this graph, but I couldn't find anything better. And if you find some good reviews and some good statistics, I'll appreciate if you can send it my way. This review provided some statistics, and what I really liked is road to 100 million users for various platforms. And you see that ChatGPT reached this point of 100 million users is in about 2 months. And the closest was TikTok, 9 months, YouTube, 1.5 years, Instagram, 2.5 years, and so on and so on. Okay, uh, strange stuff. So Sam Altman, who is the CEO of OpenAI, a very important person, very well known, of course. He co-founded a startup called WorldCoin, which has their own cryptocurrency, WLD, which you can look it up at current price. It was launched very, very recently, and the idea is that people scan iris of their eye, and this somehow converted into digital ID, and then they receive crypto for scanning it, and then they become part of the system, so they can buy and sell and do stuff using this digital ID. So the idea is to build it to create like a global ID for all humanity, but there are many problems. Immediately people started making fake scans, scanning somebody else's whatever. There's a lot of fraud, and so this is just the beginning. It's whatever. OpenAI new web crawler. Oh, this I already told you about chatbot. It's just duplicated here. Okay, learn other language using Bing and ChatGPT. Um, Many people now successfully using ChatGPT as uh, to talk to, and you can ask ChatGPT, teach me, I don't know, Spanish, for example, make me a plan, and then go according to this plan, talk to me, answer my questions, ask questions for me to answer, test my knowledge, grade me, and so on, so on. Uh, very, I guess, I wish I had something like this when I was learning English. I was talking before about Worm GPT, Poison GPT. Now there is yet another thing called Fraud GPT, which automates crafting personalized phishing emails and so on. MIT new 3D LLM. So it's very interesting. So this is the model which is aware of its surroundings. So giving data about the room and where everything is, it can answer questions like if I'm standing here and I'm looking this direction, what will I see? If something behind something else and whatever, whatever. So this is just an interesting, yet another type of model. Decision science. So what's interesting that a data scientist was literally the jack of all trades, but now it's kind of fragmented, right? So you have people like analytic translators who take the data and talk about it to managers. There are machine learning engineers, data ops, machine learning scientists, data engineering, visualization specialists, and so on, so on. So a decision scientist is somebody who takes like all this and put it together to make decisions. So it's a kind of decision support system. That's why we need data, right? But if you ask, I don't know, data ops, he probably will not be able to answer your questions about decisions. So there is a new term, decision intelligence, decision scientist, and people actually have these titles at work, like for example at Google. Okay, this is the first presentation, and I will stop recording.